Live from our studios at number 5, Ola Hansen, Lena Tessano here in Accra. This is the Channel 1 Newsroom here on Channel 1 TV. I am Charles.
It's a necessity. You cannot work with live wire when you are changing transformers. And so sometimes you might have to put a certain area off in order to upgrade the area. Deal with customers.
Coming up in Channel 1 Business.
Transition period.
International Monetary Fund cuts global growth forecast to 3.1% for 2026 amid Middle East tensions. And in Channel 1 Sports, high expectations for new Black Stars coach as Carlos Queiroz officially begins work. For choosing us here on the Channel 1 Newsroom here on Channel 1 TV. Let's begin from the Ashanti region, where the combined Kumasi Central Market Traders Union is demanding the immediate resumption of work on Phase 2 of the KGTR Central Market redevelopment project. The traders are warning of a massive demonstration if government fails to act by end of May 2026. Our Ashanti regional correspondent Fatih Aminu Ibrahim reports.
Work on the project, which started more than 7 years ago when Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo and the Asantehene Otumfuo Osei II, cut short, has stalled for over 3 years despite reaching about 70% completion. Sources tell Channel 1 News contractors have sent workers home, while expatriate staff have also left the country due to uncertainty over the release of funds to continue the project. The traders who were displaced to make way for the redevelopment say the delay continues to disrupt their livelihoods. They are now operating from scattered locations within the central business district of Kumasi without permanent trading spaces. They say the situation is affecting their businesses and income. Speaking at a news conference in Kumasi, the union called for the immediate release of funds to get contractors back to site.
Although the project commenced on a promising note, work has stalled significantly for quite a long time now, and the stipulated completion period has elapsed without any communication or explanation to we the affected traders. The situation continues to affect our livelihoods, something that I need not mention. Traders currently operating at the racecourse are faced with severe challenges, including poor road networks, poor sanitation, poor lighting system, and an absolute lack of security. The union is issuing a very firm ultimatum to the government and all relevant authorities to ensure the release of funds and the resumption of work on the project by the end of May 2026. Failure to comply may lead the union with no option than to embark on a massive course of action.
The union is also appealing to the Asantehene Otumfuo Osei II to intervene, not only to push for the resumption of work, but also to advocate for private sector participation in managing the project.
The combined Kumasi Central Markets Union humbly appeal to His Royal Majesty, the Asantehene Otumfuo Osei II to intervene in this matter to ensure that the work on the phase 2 resumes with further delay. Kumasi City Market, Dubai, again, we ask that is properly privatized and the market is managed effectively in the interest of all traders.
Away from that, the Bibiani Circuit Court has remanded into police custody the head pastor of Anointed Grace Prayer Ministry at Kufuor Camp at Abofrim and his accomplices into police custody for 2 weeks over alleged attempted murder of a 5-month-old baby. One suspect, Emmanuel Donko, is currently at large. Our Ashanti Regional Correspondent Tofik Mohammed has more in this report.
Reuters say on April 9, 2026, at about 10 p.m., Frimpong attempted to murder Anaya Echa, a 5-month, 2-week-old baby, contrary to Section 47 of the Criminal and Other Offences Act 1960, Act 29. Both Frimpong and Ejapoma were separately charged with conspiracy to commit crime, contrary to Section 23, subsection 1 of Act 29. For allegedly agreeing to act together with the common purpose to commit murder, while Emmanuel Appiah faces a count of abetment of crime contrary to Section 20, subsection 1 of Act 29. Police say investigations are ongoing while the accused are expected to reappear before the court in 2 weeks.
Now, pregnant women and persons with health challenges in communities like Mefe, Agokwe in the northern districts of the Volta region say accessing healthcare has become a challenge and an exhausting journey. With the nearest health facility located more than 20 kilometers away, seeking healthcare has become tough. Our Volta regional correspondent Desmond Salasiago visited the community and comes through with this report.
For residents of Mefe Agokwe, seeking healthcare is not a simple task, it is a struggle for survival. With no health facility nearby, pregnant women and the sick are forced to travel long distances, often on foot in search of medical attention. The situation is compounded by deplorable road networks, making it nearly impossible for vehicles to access the community. As a result, patients are sometimes carried in makeshift hammocks through rough terrain in desperate attempts to reach help. Rivers without bridges present another deadly obstacle. During the rainy season, when these rivers overflow, residents say they are left with no option but to risk their lives crossing on carefully positioned logs placed between trees. For many, this dangerous crossing is the only way to access healthcare. One misstep could prove fatal. Even in less severe conditions, the journey remains exhausting and risky. When Channel 1 News visited the community, 16-year-old Seram Avu was in labor and struggling to access care. She had to walk for more than 20 minutes in pain before benevolent persons intervened to help transport her to the nearest clinic.
Go ya ko wa ko ni nye be ndudu atwo nyogie ya si odo na mi legia ndudu shoye nyo anyamashi ko ino no na ka ni ma cho blineta ma cho gani aka memo ya mala no akata choga na shi doi pa cho ga bega ni ma ya chi fufu ga bega da la mi si ya ta ko Ye mo atro yen to la ne do ku yen to ba. Afi wa for akunyo. Ba gade. Papa ko adisi.
Another resident, Sylvia Gaju, says Serum's experience is just one of many. Delays in accessing healthcare, he laments, have led to worsening conditions and, in some cases, loss of lives.
Koji anya nu ekele afudela mi etami la kukule na jiru obi na panu na awo amone mi be mi afu papa azubara gbe fanyaro na mi afu papa ji na acho na mi.
In a recent video circulating on social media, an elderly woman in her 80s lost her life after delayed as to the nearest healthcare center. Leader of the Hovu community, Silas Viku, spoke to Channel 1 News on the issue and called for urgent intervention.
Yeta ne be amele de domia kwa ile koja enye fugbe de vito ne chija ne mi atwa mi aka ne mi anya wale kwa ami e ba itro mego ene fula medu o le be ne mi atwa do kwa ma atwa mebota aka ne mi atwa mala tie je ne mi ayiku do ne ba di bia do mo ji kwa no bia ji le afu no do kwa ha go tro mego ni to dadan de ka tro mego le yele ko ji ma atwa mego ake mi kwanyi shoye ni to ba ko wu aha enuatem wole bi ne do fa de twom yegba na bi atafo aka do fa ma twam go kaka mi abra me ake ja no ba ma fa hu aka mi ato to ku ne mi adoku no tro kwale mi en emmo bahama o jiru do na o do na mi ha mi akpongo gbede na mi ha mi agbari.
Coupled with these challenges is the lack of access to clean water. The same river residents risk their lives to cross is also their primary source of water for drinking and household use. According to the residents, they share this water with cattle and other farm animals, raising concerns about hygiene and disease.
Etami gibere mi abakole mi enki nya de agbamare mi edi nya wo mo ha na mi kwa uke ma o de la mi
Ti enu mi la esi omo yan etami di papale uncho dudu ba be wa ba anwo shi na mi le adrom pi mo ha no mo ma de kama na be chi jala.
Assembly member for the Iwata electoral area, Marina Moti, in a Channel 1 News interview says the electoral area, with over 8 communities, lack a healthcare center. She says the closest health center is several kilometers from her electoral area. She called on government for support.
I'm having about 8 communities here. None of them is having a clinic. Those around to, they are not close with us. We need to walk like some 3 hours before we get there. Even when we have a sick person, or a pregnant woman who is in labor, we need to carry them on our head to go to the nearest hospital. Those nearest hospitals we are talking about, they are not close to here. Even the road too is a problem. When it rains, there's nobody who can play with the road. There's no motor before talking about a car. So we are pleading with the government that we are many here. We are many, so we are pleading with the government officials. We want NGOs that will be looking at this area. Here of this Iwata electoral area, we are pleading with them that they should help us.
In the absence of a good road and a nearest healthcare facility, this is how residents here in Mepe Agokwe have to suffer each day, especially pregnant women, in accessing healthcare. They are calling on government and other stakeholders to construct a good road and also provide them with a quality healthcare facility. Reporting for Channel 1 is from Mepe Agokwe here in the Northern District of the Volta region. My name is Desmond Selassie.
Now, back in Accra, the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission says it is rolling out measures to encourage businesses to operate during off-peak electricity periods as part of efforts to support the 24-hour economy program. The Commission says this forms part of a broader sensitization drive to get businesses on board. Here is more in the following report.
The move by the PRC is aimed at promoting the 24-hour economy, a flagship policy of the National Democratic Congress. The policy is expected to serve as a major intervention to encourage round-the-clock business operations, boost productivity, and create more job opportunities. According to the Commission, electricity tariffs during off-peak periods will be lower than peak rates. This, it believes, will incentivize more businesses to adjust their operations and take advantage of reduced costs in support of the 24-hour economy. Speaking to Channel One News, the Executive Secretary of the Commission, Dr. Shafiq Suleiman, said the initiative is being implemented in collaboration with stakeholders driving the 24-hour economy agenda.
It's presumed that the consumer will be shifting towards the peak, but we also make deliberate effort. See, we are building 24-hour markets, we are building 24-hour, we are turning hospitals and other institutions into 24-hour activities. The presumption is that even if you consume power from 6 p.m. and you are operating into the night or into the next day, automatically there will be variations in your tariff. 6 to 12 or 6 to 11, you have a higher tariff. But immediately after 11, you begin to have a lower tariff. So that is what we are structuring and ensuring that we have a broader tariff structure category for every consumer.
Meanwhile, the Executive Secretary says the Commission within a year in office has made significant strides in addressing liquidity challenges in the sector through the effective implementation of the cash waterfall mechanism.
Let's give an example. 2023, ECG hardly declared anything. Let's even look at 2024, the immediate year. ECG actually collected about 10 billion the whole year and then declared only 6 billion. So that's a 4 billion difference. In fact, the first issue is that they should have collected more than the 10 billion. They didn't. And they under-declared by 4 billion. For instance, in 2025, ECG collected 17 billion, 17.2 billion, and declared 17.1 billion. That's a huge, in fact, this is more than huge difference.
Away from that, education think tank Africa Education Watch is demanding the removal of heads of schools where more than 50% of candidates get involved in examination malpractice. They argue that holding school leadership accountable is critical to addressing widespread exam collusion. Channel One News' Christopher Kevin Asima has more in this report.
The Africa Education Watch believes the move is a way to holding school heads accountable for the actions and inactions of their students. Examination malpractice have dominated WAEC Chief Examiner's report for years, with many calling for prompt action. According to the group, failure to sanction school authorities contributes to a culture of impunity, allowing malpractice to persist.
From 10% in 2024, Ghana recorded 14.8% examination malpractice in 2025. The meaning is that out of close to 480,000 or so candidates that wrote WASI, almost 15% of students had at least one result cancelled. Ghana could be heading towards 20% malpractice in 2026 because we believe that insofar as the examination malpractice is taking place in examination hall and the school head is actually a supervisor, and the person in whose jurisdiction examination is taking place, whose students are being examined, the person who also nominates invigilators for approval by WAEC, it is important that we sanction school heads whose schools reported significant levels of examination malpractice beyond at least 50%. And so we are calling on the Ministry of Education to crack the whip on school heads who recorded significant levels of examination malpractice in the 2025 WASI, if we expect to see a different response in our schools in 2026.
The Africa Education Watch says while it welcomes the decision by the Minister for Education to allow students to complete their school selections 1 week after the release of the Basic Education Certificate examination results, further adjustments are needed to improve the system. EduWatch called on the Ministry of Education to revert the 2024 Computerized School Selections and Placement System (CSSPS) model.
We request that the Ministry of Education reverts to the 2024 software that was used. We noticed that there were challenges with the 2025 software. And we called on the Ministry of Education last year to maintain the old software because of the developments that have occurred on that software between 2017 and 2024. Unfortunately, our call did not find favor with the ministry. We want to call again this year that the Ministry of Education, as it has indicated it will review the CSSPS, reverts to the 2024 software, and only perhaps with a little calibration to accommodate the post-BC result selection, such that you don't select schools that are not within your cutoffs.
Now, the New Patriotic Party has criticized the handling of proceedings involving its Sunyani East Constituency Communications Officer, Abubakar Yakubu, popularly known as Baba Amando. Baba Amando has been remanded by an Accra Circuit Court for offensive conduct, false publication and the circulation of statements likely to incite fear and panic. Let's now speak to the Communications Director for the NPP, Richard Ahiagba, on this very matter. Good evening to you, Director. Thank you for joining us here on the Channel 1 Newsroom. What is the NPP's difficulty with proceedings of this very case?
Thank you. As you fairly indicated, this is political speech, which is very much part of our democratic evolution from 1992 till now. All forms of political speech have been had in this country, but we're not sure exactly why the government has taken aim at people engaged in political discourse using satire to demonstrate, to denounce, expose, and criticize this government. And if you recall, in 2024, we got to a certain point where some of the political satire that we saw, a lot of them were coarse. In fact, one of the reasons why we probably had some back and forth with the Media General platform was over a political depiction in a satire form by this tilapia artist, where Dr. Baumia was captured in a certain light, which we thought was clearly beyond the pale. But we didn't. Nobody got arrested. We exercised our political, right not to be on that platform because we feel that was too coarse. And so it doesn't. If you don't like people engaging in political speech in a manner to paint people, draw pictures and depiction of people in a manner to create fun, use comedy, and sometimes even ridicule to be able to communicate, criticize, and denounce certain government policies or conduct, then I am sorry, but then you're not ready for democracy. This government must realize that the power it has is the power vested in we the people. And so we the people, if we are not happy at any material time about what they are doing, the course of action they are engaged in, and we want to speak about it, they shouldn't take it as though that we don't have the right. These rights are inherent. And so what we are seeing here is completely regressive. It is not progressive. It is inimical to our democracy, and most especially, it affects the quality of political discourse that we have in this country. And I think that this is not in keeping with the president's promise. And in fact, it's not in keeping with the very campaign they did in 2024 to win power. They said more worse things, collaborated with people to do worse things than what we are seeing in this case, for which reason they are arresting this young man who is simply engaged in exercising his rights as a citizen, not to be a spectator, but to engage in a discourse to advance the laws of our country. So this is most unfortunate, and as I said, it's not progressive, it's regressive, and President Mahama must act to stop this thing. It is vain to want to remand this individual over this. I mean, I don't see the value of spending state time and resource to try and pursue this meaningless effort. I don't think that is necessary. It is bad for our democracy. It is a grand attempt to limit people's ability to speak. But the thing is that they don't appear. I think the NDC is aware, the government is aware that it cannot silence the New Patriotic Party. It cannot, by any design, it cannot. So the earlier they stop this, the better.
Ms. Anyagba, the leader of your group in Parliament has described the judge involved in this case as a disgrace for apparently going ahead to remand Baba Amando, even though prosecution did not call for it. Is this a view that the party shared? Do you share this view from the minority leader?
Minority leader is a leader of our caucus in Parliament, is a leader in the party. I share his view. The point is that in a democracy, in fact, imagine how far we have come, okay, how far we have come as a democracy to have a situation where people are depicted, just comedy, political satire. I don't know if the NDC has forgotten itself or this government has forgotten itself. I mean, political satire, it is part of political discourse, using comedy, using such depictions in a way to demonstrate a point. I mean, I don't see where this becomes a focus. President Mahama told us that LGBTQ plus is not a priority. Somehow this has become the priority of government, to limit political speech in this country, to arrest people for exercising their political rights. That has become a priority over ensuring that our values as a people, our cultural values that were a priority for the NDC in opposition, today is no longer a priority for them. And so for anyone who is criticizing LGBTQ matters and in so doing uses comedy, okay, to demonstrate their point, to criticize government, that person has offended the state. That for me is ridiculous. That for me it is unprogressive, it is regressive, it is excessive. President Mahama, this cannot be part of his legacy.
So you think that
waste of resource.
If anybody feels offended by this, they should take civil action. This is not a criminal matter.
Absolutely. And the people who ought to be offended by this, perhaps are the individuals captured on this thing. They are individuals before they are officers of the state. And the criticism is on their person. So if there is anything at all, it can proceed in a criminal way. But for the government to weaponize state power, to silence political operatives in this country, or operatives in this country, I think that is inimical for our democracy. And President Mahama, of all people, should know this and to tell the hawks in his party and his government to stop this. Because this democracy belongs to all of us. It is not theirs. We are all collectively protecting it. They must do their part. We are doing our part. What has happened here, it is nothing offensive. It is not deserving of the action that they are taking.
Thank you very much, sir. Richard Anyagba is the Director of Communications for the New Patriotic Party. You're still watching the Channel 1 Newsroom here on Channel 1 TV. Still ahead. International Monetary Fund cuts global growth forecast to 3.1% for 2026 amid Middle East tensions. We are back in a bit. Please stay with us.
Is in your hands, but at some point it passes on to us. At Mintuba Hospital and Coloproctology Center, we believe that quality healthcare isn't a privilege, it's a right. Equipped with cutting-edge technology, we are fully prepared to effectively deal with all colorectal and proctological conditions. Our team of highly skilled doctors, surgeons, and nurses are renowned for their expertise in minimally invasive and painless laser, ligature, and lungoproctological surgery. We are committed to providing a wide range of services to meet the diverse needs of our patients. Mintuba Hospital, your health is our priority. Visit Mintuba Hospital today or call us at 0244 581 541 or 0271 054 8204. Mintuba Hospital. In to serve a peculiar health need.
You're welcome back. This is the Channel One Newsroom here on Channel One TV. Next is business with Netili Netiajao.
CNR Business is brought to you by EcoBank.
How may I help you today?
We'd like to open a bank account.
Sign here, sign here, sign here, and here. And now you draw direction to your house. I need your thumbprint. And I'll need your birth certificate too. No, I need the original.
A lot has changed since you bank like this. So have we. We've made it easier than ever to open an account online and bank on the go through our mobile app, online banking, and more. EcoBank, a better way to bank your way.
Sign here, and here.
EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
You good?
Yeah.
So this war in Iran is beginning to take a toll on the world economy.
Yeah, and the IMF is projecting that even though we are growing, most economies are growing, it's going to be slower this time as compared to their updates in January. This is going to have some impact, yeah.
All right, give us details.
Now, the International Monetary Fund is projecting global economic growth to slow to 3.1% in 2026 as rising geopolitical tensions, particularly the ongoing conflicts in the Middle East, begin to weigh on economic momentum. This was contained in its April 2026 World Economic Outlook. The latest forecast represents moderation from the roughly 3.4% growth recorded in 2024 and 2025, and is also below the historical average of 3.7% seen between 2000 and 2019.
The 2026 outlook has been revised downward by 0.2 percentage points compared to the IMF January update. The fund's projections are based on a reference scenario that assumes the Middle East conflict remains contained and disruptions to global commodity market ease by mid-2026. Even under this assumption, the shock is expected to feed into higher energy prices, elevated inflation expectations, and tighter financial conditions, offsetting gains from technology-driven investment and relatively accommodative macroeconomic policies. Global inflation is now projected to rise to 4.4% in 2026 before easing to 3.7% in 2027, indicating persistent price pressures driven largely by supply-side shocks linked to the conflict. The IMF notes that without the geopolitical shock, global growth would have been stronger, with pre-conflict estimates pointing to an expansion of about 3.4% in 2026. Emerging markets and developing economies are expected to bear the brunt of the slowdown, particularly commodity importing countries with existing macroeconomic vulnerabilities. The report notes that a prolonged conflict could push global growth down to 2.5% in 2026, accompanied by higher inflation. In a more severe scenario involving major disruptions to energy infrastructure, growth could fall to around 2%, with inflation rising further, deepening instability globally.
Former President John Agyekum Kufuor has delivered a sweeping critique of Ghana's economic trajectory, warning that years of state dominance in industry pushed out entrepreneurs and weakened the foundations of private sector growth. This report has more details.
The private sector has been touted as the engine of growth. Speaking at the inaugural Legacy Dialogue series in Accra, organized by the Design and Technology Institute, former President John Agyekum Kufuor noted that Ghana's post-independence model systematically sidelined private initiative.
From independence till the time I got the opportunity to become president of our nation, the private sector hadn't been given opportunity at all. I think in one of the statements I heard, some names were mentioned, like Tata Siam of Tata Breweries, BMN who was doing tobacco, but they were all destroyed by state.
Oh, the same state?
The same state, because it seems like the state hadn't appreciated the necessity for the private sector venture to cooperate with the state to generate the wealth.
For her part, the founder and president of the Design and Technology Institute, Constance Swanika, expressed concern over Ghana's growing youth unemployment crisis, which she says is a structural failure of the economy.
While the working age population has expanded by nearly 2.7 million between 2012 and 2023, employment grew by only 25,000. This is not a gap. This is a structural failure, and it falls heavily on our youth. Ghana must create 300,000 young jobs every year to absorb these entering the working age. That figure has not changed in a decade. And what we must change is our response. While we invest in young entrepreneurs, equip them with practical skills, connect them with mentorship and capital, and give them the freedom to fail and rebuild, we are not merely solving unemployment, we're building an economy.
Meanwhile, the Design and Technology Institute has announced that its entrepreneurship center at the Brekusu campus will be known as the J.A. Kufuor Center for Entrepreneurship in recognition of its long-standing support for private sector-led growth.
Your Excellency has long championed productive enterprise, value addition, and disciplined human capital development as the surest foundation for national transformation. He was the first to place his trust in this mission, even as others were still watching. It is therefore with immense pride that we formally announce the naming of the DTI Entrepreneurship Center at the Brekusu campus as the J.A. Kufuor Center for Entrepreneurship.
The inaugural Legacy Dialogue series on the theme, Entrepreneurship and the Future of Work, brought together key stakeholders from industry and academia.
Let's now bring you an update on crude oil prices and how the local currency is performing on the interbank market. And that's all for business. I am Neteli Neti Ajahu. Back to you, Charles.
Thank you very much, Neteli. Well, let's do some other stories. The Electricity Company of Ghana is upgrading a 22-year-old transformer at its Nungwa district office from 50 MVA to 60 MVA to improve power distribution. Now, this forms part of a broader government initiative to upgrade over 2,000 transformers nationwide aimed at reducing frequent power outages and addressing overload infrastructure. Channel 1 News says Ni Ayukwe Okai reports.
The Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, has begun upgrading more than 2,000 transformers nationwide as part of government's efforts to strengthen power infrastructure, reduce system overloads, and improve the reliability of electricity supply. On Tuesday, ECG's Nungwa District Office commenced the upgrade of a 22-year-old transformer from 50 MVA to 60 MVA to enhance power distribution within the Tama Enclave. During a visit to the facility, Managing Director of ECG, Kwame Pekpena, revealed that 10 of the transformers will be installed in Accra, with 2 earmarked for the Ashanti region to ensure more stable power delivery.
This is only part of a larger intervention we are doing in the network. Because we have overloading, we have low voltages, and we have frequent outages in the system. This exercise involves 6 substations, 5 here in Tama and Accra, and 1 in Kumasi. So we'll be installing 10 MVA, 10 of the transformers we are doing right now, 10 of them in Accra and 2 in Kumasi. Kumasi 1 will be done in May, but between now and the end of the month, we'll be doing the Accra ones. So, Honorable, in addition to the power transformers, which is a big one we are doing today, we'll be installing more than 2,000 distribution transformers in the network, not just here in Accra, but also in all the other regions.
The Minister for Energy and Green Transition, John Jinapor, urged electricity consumers to remain patient with the ECG as the ongoing upgrade works are expected to result in intermittent power outages.
Let me plead with customers that bear with us during this transition period. Transformers are such that before you replace a transformer, you have to put the lights out. It's a necessity. You cannot work with live wire when you are changing transformers. And so sometimes you might have to put a certain area off in order to upgrade the area. We would inform you ahead of time and we'll try and be within schedule, just like we are witnessing.
He also warned of a possible shake-up in ECG district offices where management fails to respond promptly to customer complaints.
There are some negative developments. I also get reports of where in some particular districts there's lethargy. The level of responsiveness is not encouraging. Generally, I know you are doing a good job, but there are some isolated cases where I must be frank, as minister, I'm not happy with. And I've directed your MD to do some exercise there. If it needs that we should shake up, like any organization, we would have to do a shake up. But don't let us get there.
The Tema Metropolitan Assembly has reopened the TMA Daycare No. 3 school after it was closed following the tragic aircraft crash in Tema. The school had been closed for nearly a month after the incident which occurred on the premises. Manola Yama has more in this report.
On Monday, March 16, pupils and teachers of TMA Daycare No. 3 in Tema witnessed a tragedy unfold before their eyes as a microlight aircraft crashed on the school's premises, killing 2 brothers. Agnes Addison witnessed the horrifying moment firsthand.
We were here with the kids, no matter did that. But all the thing that we could see was, at the end of the tournament, a blast. Yes, and we didn't even know what to do because it came impromptu. We didn't see it, we didn't hear any sound. But the only thing that we could hear was boom.
In the chaos and panic, pupils fled for their lives, guided by teachers and aided by bystanders in a desperate rush for safety. On Tuesday, April 14, the school tells a different story, one of healing and renewal. A refreshed environment now welcomes pupils, teachers, and staff, while psychological and psychosocial support has been extended to the entire school community by the Mental Health Authority and other institutions. At the reopening ceremony, Mayor of Tema, E.B. Bright, described the incident as a wake-up call to strengthen systems and prevent lapses that could compromise safety, including conditions that may hinder safe aircraft landings.
This reopening comes with renewed commitment, stricter safeguards, and a collective responsibility to ensure that such an incident never happens again. We're not talking about an insurance against accidents. What we're talking about is that if ever visitors were in distress, if ever this area had to receive people in distress, we would be capable of doing so. Our surroundings did not allow Frank and Elijah the opportunity for safety, but they made that sacrifice anyway. Our environment cannot assure our children of safety.
The head of the Donko family, who was present at the ceremony, also expressed appreciation to stakeholders for their support throughout the period and burial of the two victims, Captain Frank Amoinyi Donko and Elijah Ofori Donko.
It's only my grandchildren who were the pilots and the brother who lost their lives, that to save the lives of others who were around. So we thank God for everything. Else, it would have been another thing altogether. So on this note, on behalf of the family, the Witi and the Donko family, we want to first of all, as we thank God, we thank the President of the nation.
We have received all the psychological support and everything. They've come around to talk to us, and now we are okay. We are okay.
This is a very place where two lives were lost to a tragic aircraft crash. Today, the place has been transformed, rising from a sorrowful atmosphere to an uplifting and brighter one for the pupils. For Channel 1 News from the TMA Daycare number 3 in Tema, I am Manuel Ayama.
Now, the Greater Accra metropolitan area is saddled with a transportation crisis that consumes 15% of household income, while residents endure commuting over 3 hours daily. The situation, government says, highlights the urgent need to improve the public transport system to meet the growing mobility demands of the capital. My colleague Rachel Engman reports.
Accra is grappling with a transportation crisis occasioned by increasing population, which strains the already overburdened infrastructure. Some commuters lament the precious hours lost in traffic and are urging government to intervene to improve mobility within the city.
We need more buses, and they should supply us more buses on the road. They have to do something for us on the road. Yeah.
We have a lot of challenges. Sometimes there are no cars for us to pick us to our destinations, and sometimes too there are traffics on the road. So as you are coming, you have to be in the car for a very long time, and transport fares too. Sometimes it's very high.
As a commuter, my challenge is just our roads. In fact, if John is able to fix with the big push, we are okay.
The Minister for Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, Ahmed Ibrahim, speaking at the inauguration of the 4th Executive Council of the Greater Accra Passenger Transport Executive Operators of Ayalolo, announced some key statistics that paint a gloomy picture of the transport system in Accra.
Accra alone, with a population of approximately 5 million people, contribute between 34 to 39% of Ghana's gross domestic product, making it a vital economic engine. However, this economic engine is hindered by a transport system that fails to meet the needs of our citizens. Traffic moves at just 28 kilometers per hour on our main roads, with workers spending an average of 58 minutes per trip. Many residents of Gama endure commuting over 3 hours daily, consuming 15% or more of a household income on transportation.
The minister revealed that government plans to revamp the Ayalolo bus system to operate a 24-hour service as part of efforts to support the government's 24-hour economy policy.
As part of effort to implement the 24-hour economy policy, it is envisaged that as an executive council, you will devise appropriate strategies to position GAPTI to contribute to the success of the program. Ayalolo must be revamped to provide 24-hour services to ensure effective and efficient public transport system in Greater Accra metropolitan area.
Concerns are growing over Accra's traffic and transport challenges. Government says plans are underway to improve public transport and revive the Ayalolo bus system to support the 24-hour economy. Reporting for Channel 1 News, I am Rachel Engman.
Now, organizers of the maiden edition of the Channel 1 Community Legends Initiative say all is set for the grand reveal. 10 outstanding individuals have been shortlisted from a tall list of entries submitted for review. There is more in this report.
The wait is over.
After an inspiring search across communities, the hunt for the Channel One community legend has finally come to an exciting end. 10 extraordinary individuals have been shortlisted for their remarkable impact and unwavering dedication to supporting their communities. The grand unveiling of these outstanding personalities will be made on the City Breakfast Show on City 97.3 FM on April 15 at 7:30 a.m. and on Channel One TV on April 16 on Breakfast Daily. In the coming weeks, audiences will get the chance to meet the 2026 cohort of shortlisted legends through a special series of profiles. Each episode will shine a spotlight on their inspiring stories, celebrating their commitment, resilience, and meaningful contributions to society. At the end of the journey, 3 exceptional legends will be selected to receive rewards aimed at supporting and expanding the incredible work they do within their communities. Stay tuned as we celebrate true community heroes making a difference where it matters most.
Well, this is still the Channel One Newsroom here on Channel One TV. Still to come. High expectations for new black.
Me didn't tum Mr. Freddy Calico, just call me cockroach.
Now, Mr. Freddy once now.
Hey, is that you? Improve car. Yeah, dear. Captain Mosquito, double the action. Me did it, Sasso spray. Mr. Freddy Sasso quell. Yeah, go to my Sasso.
Come Tom Preko.
Thank you for staying with us here on the Channel One Newsroom. Next is sports with Bernarda Bakery. You're welcome.
Hi, Charles. Thank you. Great to see you.
So we have a new coach.
Yeah, we have a new coach. You know, experienced, but if you can bring that experience to bear, it will help us because we've gotten the talent. So hopefully we can do better.
All right, give us details.
Let's get into it, shall we? Now, Ghana's World Cup preparations have taken a decisive turn with the Ghana Football Association appointing Carlos Queiroz as head coach of the Black Stars, signaling a clear shift towards experience and tactical discipline ahead of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. We've got more in this report. Ghana's participation for the upcoming 2026